Hello you guys, hi, hello, it is me, it is I, hi, hello, hi, welcome. My name is Wendy Ivy Martinez, you can call me Ivy, and I am also known as a Geek Goddess here on YouTube. And today, as you can see behind me, I have a empty TBR cart, and we are going to fill it with the books that I'm going to be reading in 2025. This isn't going to be all the books, but a good portion of them. My biggest determination of 2025 is to finish series that I have started, and I also have a few newer books here. So if you guys haven't yet, please watch the first video, which is the 25 books that I want to read in 2025, because I'm just going to quickly brush over them. I'm not going to talk severely about all of them, but if you do want to see a individual synopsis for each of these, plus I also categorized it by genres, go over to that video. I'll link it up here. Also put it down below in the description, so check out that video. That's technically like part 1. Go watch that if you haven't yet. I'll be waiting. Okay, if you're still here, I'm gonna assume that you already watched it. You already watched it, so let's fill this cart. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the books that I talked about in that first video. So I have The Last Hour Between Worlds by Melissa Caruso. This is like a sci-fi sapphic fantasy romance. Long Live Evil is a fantasy romance, I believe. Some other books that I included in that are Memorials by Richard Chosmore. That is a horror book. The Road of Bones, which is a fantasy. The Bright Sword is a high fantasy book. It's about like King Arthur, so I'm putting that in there. I got the Library of the Unwritten, which is a fantasy sci-fi dark fantasy about this library in hell. And then I have the Dark Shepherd duology, which is about like tarot card powers. So this is like a dark fantasy, so I really want to read this. I'm very determined to read that in 2025. I also have Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. This is a horror book that is like very nostalgia 90s themed, and it has like kind of like a time loop trope that I'm assuming it's time loop. Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. I really want to read this one too. This is a horror book about this like box that ends up having like a ghost attached to it, and he like ends up wreaking havoc. Next I have 2 dark romances. I have Butcher and Blackbird, which is about 2 serial unalivers that fall in love, and Leather and Lark, which is the second book to it. The third book also comes out in 2025, so I'll definitely be reading that one as well. Then I have Lights Out. This is also a dark fantasy about a trauma nurse and who develops like a masked men kink, and she ends up meeting like this guy of her dreams. And it says a couple who slaves together stays together, so I'm assuming there's going to be some unaliving done. Speaking of unalivers, I also have another dark romance called There Are No Saints by Sophie Lark. This is about a male serial unaliver, but I believe the girl becomes, I don't know, but there's some sort of serial unaliver in this one too. And it's also really tiny, so I feel like I could finish that very, very easily and fast. Next I have Electric Idol, which is the second book in the Dark Olympus series. This is following the Greek gods, but has more of a modern standpoint, and it's not fantasy, so there's no like powers or anything involved. I think they're just like dark, almost like mafia-like characters. The next books I have is Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. This is a like romance with like a woman who is like a skeptic, and like the guy is like a conspiracy theorist, and they have to like work together to like find Bigfoot, and like this like web show that she like produces. So it seems really fun. So there's that one. Next I have 2 CJ Lead books. I have Mayfly, and then I have American Rapture. This one is about a woman that decides that she wants to become a serial unaliver, and it's like a serial unaliver origin story. And then this one is about a post-apocalypse. This is an apocalyptic book about a zombie virus, so that one seems really fun too. Next I have a few thrillers. I have The Whispers by Ashley Audran. I believe this is like a weird there's like weird neighbors. I'm not entirely 100% sure on what exactly goes down in that story. And then I have 2 Alice Feeney books. I really want to get back into reading Alice Feeney. I have Beautiful Ugly, which is about a man whose wife goes missing, and then he finds her in like some town, and he's like, is that my wife, is that not my wife? And then Daisy Darker, which I have no ideas about what it's about, but Alice Feeney was like the first thriller author that I read, and I really loved her book. I really loved her book Sometimes I Lie, so I really want to read more of her. Next we have a couple more. Let's see what fits in here. In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And then Meet Me in Another Life by Catriona Sylvie. Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I guess that's the only ones that fit in here. So I don't think all my series are gonna fit in here, so I guess I'll just have the first book in the series in here. Well, the next book that I'm supposed to be reading from the series, if that makes any sense. The Way of the Kings is also in my 2025 TBR, so 25 books that I want to read in 2025. This one just looks so hefty. Since we're on the Brandon Sanderson kick, I am also going to be reading You Mean the Nightmare Painter. And then by Octavia Butler, I really want to read Parable of the Sower and Kindred by her. Parable of the Sower is basically about California in the 2020s and about climate change. And then Kindred is about this woman, Dana, who is celebrating her 26th birthday, and I believe she like travels back in time or something like that. Dana is forced to contend with a brutal legacy of slavery and white supremacy, not knowing if her life will end long before it has a chance to begin. So I think it has like a time loop trope in there. But I've heard so many wonderful things by Octavia Butler that I need to read something by her. Then I have Guild by Raven Kendi. I have, oh, I should put this with Brandon Sanderson, but this is The Well of Ascension. This is book 2 in the Mistborn trilogy. I should have read book 1 during the month of December. I guess we'll see if I actually get to it. If not, I guess I'll be adding that one to this as well. But I need to read this whole trilogy. Yeah, my goal is to get through all of the Cosmere universe in 2025. We'll see how that actually goes. I'm gonna just put, because these books are so tiny, I'm just gonna put all 3 of them here. But I started the Gravekeeper series in October of 2024, and I loved the first book. It reminded me of like Ghost Whisperer. And so this is like a whole series, and I believe the last book is about to come out. So I have books 2, 3, and 4. This is about a woman who gets amnesia and she forgets who she is. All she remembers is that she can speak to ghosts. The next book that I plan on reading, this is like my only nonfiction / spiritual book that I have here, and it is called The 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth by Dolores Cannon. I talked about this one a little bit in the 25 books that I want to read in 2025, but this is all about this woman that she starts to undergo people into hypnosis, and they start talking about different past lives, reincarnation, extraterrestrials, and all these crazy things. So I really want to read this because I love learning about aliens and all that stuff. I love it if it's fiction, if it's nonfiction. I love it. I love it. And then the next book that I'm gonna add here is book 3 in the Zodiac Academy series. This is The Reckoning by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. And so I have a little gap there, so let me see what I could fit. Okay, so for the last book, I actually just ended up adding Divine Rivals to it by Rebecca Ross. This is I only have like a couple of YA books, but I've heard this one's like really good. All I know is it's about something with history, World War II, and it's a fantasy romance. That's all I know. So anyways, you guys, this is it up here. So we have a lot of books here. We filled it with all different sorts of books. We have a combination of thrillers, sci-fi, we have dark fantasy, we have high fantasy, we have dark romance. I think that's it. Horror. Did I say horror? We have horror. Of course we have horror. And I think that's it. That's like a combination of pretty much everything that I read. I'm excited for this. I love how diverse the genres are. I like how I have a lot of options. So when I do choose like prompts from my TBR jar or anything like that, I have a lot of books to choose from and a variety. So if I'm like in the mood for whatever genre, I have that option because I have quite a variety. So anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you guys haven't yet, please check down below my book my booktube, my book talk is down there. My podcast is down there, which I desperately need to update. And also my, oh, as well as my Amazon wish list. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.